For those who are just joining a little early, we'll get started with the live stream in just a moment. I'm driving to the language school today to take care of a few things before I start my classes in October. I've got to double check my map right now because I'm going to be taking some back roads, toll-free kind of roads, and I just want to check my map, make sure I'm on the right path. So just enjoy the music for a minute, and we'll get started with the live in just a couple of minutes. All right, now I am back. I've got my map set up. Let me turn my camera around here. If I can find where it's at. Hello everyone. As you can see, it's a rainy day here. I am currently in Toyosaka, sitting at the Family Mart. There we go. I wanted to turn this around so you can see me. How about right there? Nice? Okay. All right. That's enough of a setup time at the beginning. I apologize for a little bit of disconnect. I had to minimize my live stream just for a moment in order to set up my map. And if I'm not mistaken, the way YouTube Live works, the app, is that if you select another app and minimize this one, then what will happen is it basically freezes the live stream and you don't see anything. So I apologize for that. I should have set up my map before I started, but I wasn't thinking about it. My bad. Okay, I just got me a Craft Boss Italiano latte. This particular one doesn't have added sugar to it, and that's why I picked it up. It also tastes really, really good. I will tell you this though, if you've never been to Japan and you're looking to come to Japan and you're gonna, obviously at some point you're gonna buy some drinks here. Some of the drinks here, like the coffees, milk teas, matcha drinks, etc., they will have sediment in the bottom. You really gotta shake them up. I know that some of my American friends are really kind of put off by drinks like that. They look in the bottom of a drink and they see that, they think maybe it means that it's low quality or it's no good or something like that. At least the stuff that we find in America. But it's very, very common in Japan, so just be aware of that. If you buy something like this in Japan, you should check and see if you're going to need to shake it up. I'm about to start driving, but before I start driving, I'll set this up really quick. As short as possible. If you plan on living in Japan or working, living in and or working in Japan, of course, if you're working here, you're probably living here. Duh. But the point is that I've been thinking a lot about this. If you're a foreigner and you're working here, what kind of medical and healthcare options are there? If you get sick, if you need to take some time off, if you get injured, or if you just want to go to the hospital for a regular checkup or whatever, You know, all these different types of things are, what's the coverage? What kind of options are there? And there are a couple of reasons why I decided to make this video. And I would say that the main reason is because my company, which I will not name, if you are interested in figuring out what company that is, you are welcome to email me, and I will be more than happy to tell you my experience. Maybe at some point in the future, if it's pertinent to the channel, I will tell you a little bit about my experience as it relates to teaching as an ALT and as a language teacher in an Akiya. So I've worked both in the English language schools and in the assistant language teacher position in the Japanese schools. So I've done both, and regardless, I've had insurance through both of those. And of course, I've also been on the national health insurance, and I've had the experience of being on my company's health insurance. So I've had both. I'm not an expert, but once again, just like with Akiyas and buying a house, finding a house in Japan, renovating a house, stuff like that, dealing with local people, living in the countryside and getting along with people here, everyday life in Japan, I'm not an expert, but I have experience in all of those things. And all I'm doing here is sharing with you my experience and giving to you whatever knowledge I've acquired that I believe is useful or helpful for you. Now, since I'm driving, I won't be able to just look at the chat. So if you do have a question for me, please feel free to post it in the chat. I encourage you to do that. And if you missed the live chat, that's also okay. Still post your questions in the comments section below the video, because what I will do is, if I'm able to stop at a traffic light or something like that and take a quick look to see if you've got questions, then I'll verbally answer them as best I can. But later on, if any questions that I may have missed after the video, I will come back in the future and answer those questions. The cool thing is that if you leave any questions in the comment section, or comments or questions in the comment section or in the live chat, I will definitely see them later on, if not during the video. So I will do my best to answer your questions, and if for some reason I don't know the answer, as always, I will do my best to give you either a referral to someone who does know the answers, or I will try to get the answer for you and post it. But like I said, as far as it relates to taking time off from work and dealing with health issues and healthcare, I do have experience in Japan with that, and that's all I'm doing here is I'm sharing that. I'm not a doctor. I do see a doctor regularly, and I have a hospital counselor also that I see, and basically I'm basing this on not only my time with them and my interactions with them, but also the whole process that it took me to get through the medical insurance stuff with my company and all of that over the past, you could say it's been over a year just working all that stuff out. And that's what we're going to talk about. Once again, I encourage you to leave any questions you might have either in the live video feed or in the comments after, and I will check them out later. But for now, let's get on the road. I think that I will start off the video like this, but in just a few moments I will turn it around because there are some scenic areas and I think you'd like to see those scenic areas. That's just my guess, and I will try to turn the camera around so that you can see those areas. How about that? Let's begin. Like I said, right now I'm in Toyosaka Town in Higashi Hiroshima. Higashi basically means east, okay? So this is East Hiroshima, and East Hiroshima is...
Head south on Guodao 375 Hao, yes, toward Guodao 486 yes, Hao, then yes, turn left at Qingwu, yes, Jiao Cha Dian.
Thank you, Google. Be quiet. I already know that.
Turn left at Qingwu, Jiao Cha Dian, onto Guodao 486 Hao. Signs for Daiwa. Continue on Guodao 486
Yes,
Hao
thank you,
for
Google.
17
You
kilometers.
can be quiet now. You can be quiet. Okay. For some stupid reason, Google Maps is telling me all of my directions in Chinese. I have no idea why that is, and I need to go back and get into the settings and fix that. But for right now, that's the way it is. If you're wondering why Google's talking to me in Chinese, I'm wondering the same thing. It just changed suddenly to Chinese. So maybe it was hacked or something. Who knows? Okay. Oh, that actually looks very beautiful. It seems the connection might be a little spotty until I get to the main road, so I apologize for that. I saw it reconnecting. Tight turn. Let me see if I can turn this camera around. How's that? Okay. So you can kind of see my view right now. Okay. Let's get on to the main subject, which is the healthcare related issue of specifically benefits in Japan for medical insurance and even more specifically medical leave for injury, sickness, illness, etc. Lots of water up here on the road. I bought my house on Christmas morning of 2021. That's literally the morning that I went to Saijo and signed the papers, paid for the house, and got the keys. All of the documentation and everything was complete. The only thing remaining to do was for me and the owners, or the owner, to show up, sign the papers, put our incon or stamp on the papers, and pay the scrivener, pay the agent, and for me to pay the owner, and that was it. Within a few months after that, of course, I had begun to visit my house more or less most every weekend to do some cleaning and do some exploration, to just see what I could find in the house, to check it out, get used to it, and see what was left behind, try to find anything that might be valuable or worth keeping. And during that time, from December until May, I had really begun to have more and more problems with my health. And it became more and more difficult for me to walk places more than a block, okay? So after walking like a block or so, I would just get out of breath and feel like I'd run a marathon. And one day while I was walking out to my house, I was having to stop multiple times, and my side was hurting. I was just having a lot of problems. And then one day when I was at school, I went to use the bathroom, and there was a lot of blood whenever I used the toilet. It was a urinal. And of course that was very worrisome, so I decided I have to go straight to the doctor. I went to the clinic, they did some checks. He decided that it was beyond his ability to check, but it was very serious, and so he sent me to the main hospital in Hiroshima. The doctor there checked me out, ran some tests, CT scan, etc., and he found that I have a large tumor on my kidney, my right kidney. And So for those of you who are wondering, it is cancer. It is a cancerous tumor, and it has grown. Now, between then and now, it's been over a year. It hasn't grown much, I mean, just slightly. And not at the rate that the doctor thought it was going to grow. He thought it was going to be like out of control, but I have managed to do some things to improve how I feel a little bit, but that's beside the point. I can get into that at some other time. The main point is, what was I able to do about it? Well, I have to tell you a little bit about my job and my company in order for you to understand the situation that I was in. Because if for some reason you come here and you work and you need to take time off, you need to know these things and how it applies to your work. At the time, I was working for what's called a staffing company, an English staffing company. Even though I was working in a junior high school 5 days a week, full time, I wasn't working for the high school. I mean, I wasn't working for the junior high school. I was working for my company. So basically, these school districts, boards of education throughout Japan, they have different contracts with different companies who provide English teachers, foreign English teachers, to be ALTs, assistant language teachers for their schools. So they basically support the Japanese English teachers. You don't take complete control of the English classes or anything like that. You just work as support. Well, anyway, I was doing pretty bad, and my particular school, it was up on top of a hill. Even though it was close to my apartment, it was up on top of a really big hill. If you watch anime and you've ever seen those anime shows where people live like way up on a hill and they ride their bike down the hill and all that kind of stuff, that's very much like what my junior high was like. The one that I had to go to 5 days a week. And there's no way you can ride a bike up that hill, but I would either walk up that hill or push my bike up that hill, and then whenever I would leave, I would walk or ride my bike down the hill. But I was in such bad physical condition, it became hell for me to walk up that hill. And I'm not joking right now when I tell you this. I want you to understand this. If any of you have ever had an organ problem or something like that, like with your liver, or your kidney, or etc., etc., it really can shut you down. If you've had this experience, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure there are some other health conditions that can really hinder you. But the thing about having a problem with an organ, I've noticed, is that not only does it severely limit you in your ability to do things and go places and just live your life, from the lack of energy plus the pain that it can cause, but it also creates an array of other symptoms. So you don't just have like one problem. You don't just, oh, I have pain and I'm tired. No, it's not that simple. You have other issues too. So I was suffering from edema, swollen feet and legs and ankles, and anemia, severe anemia. It got so bad to where on a flat surface, if I walked half a block, I would just be completely out of breath and exhausted and feel terrible. My apartment was on the second floor, so I had to walk up one flight of stairs. And when I would get home, I would just dread that. I would dread walking up those stairs, because no matter how slow I walked up the stairs, it would just destroy me. So I would collapse on my bed. I wouldn't even take my shoes off of the door. I would be so winded and exhausted and feeling so terrible. As soon as I got to my door, I would just go straight in and collapse on the bed and recover for like 15 minutes. before I would go back, take off my shoes, and lock my front door, because that's how bad of a condition I was in. Now you might wonder, if you were in such bad condition, why were you working? Why were you going to the school and working? Well, that's a good question. Because I didn't want to. I just wanted to lay down and give up. That's how I felt. I was so bad. I just wanted to lay down and give up. And I contacted my company and I said, what options are there for me to take some time off and deal with this illness? And the very first thing they told me was, nothing. There is no option. You can take your remaining vacation days, but if you don't have any vacation days left and you take time off, you just don't get paid. So there's nothing. And the dumb thing is that, according to them, in this situation, if you take time off and you don't have vacation days and you're not getting paid, you still have to continue paying pension and health care. So you still have to pay several $100s a month for your pension and health care, even though you're not making any money from your job. This didn't make any sense to me. So I began to talk to some people, began to poke around a little bit. At the time, there was one colleague who told me that she had actually taken off, I think, for about a month before and gone on medical leave, and she was able to apply for that, and her doctor approved that, and then they submitted that to insurance, and then the insurance covered her to be off for 30 days, so she didn't lose pay. She was able to stay at home and recover, take the time off she needed, and then go back to work without losing any money. So that truck almost clipped me. That was stupid. Anyway, that's not wise to be walking through a crosswalk on a red light. Good job. What's with people in this little town here? I don't get it. By the way, this is not Toyosaka. I'm not sure which one this is. This is not Sarah either. I'd hate to say that it was Fukutomi. I don't think it's Fukutomi. I don't know where I'm at right now. I'm not looking at my map. Anyway, this particular colleague, based on what she said, it pushed me to look further into the situation. And after looking online, talking with my sensei, Saori sensei, and getting her help, and looking at and looking through the city and health websites, talking with people who work in the government, I finally found that my company was wrong. They actually do. In Japan, they do have medical leave benefits for people who need to take off due to illness, sickness, injury, etc. And while you're off work, you can get a portion of your wage, your salary, paid to you while you're off. Now there is a lag, but that's another issue. The point is, my company told me incorrectly from the get-go. They said it doesn't exist, there's nothing like that. Well, I'm here to tell you that's untrue. However, if you want to try and get benefits, or if your doctor thinks you should take time off because of a health reason or an injury or something like that, then there are some criteria, okay? One is, you can't be working part-time. You need to be full-time worker. The other thing is, you have to be working for approximately 1 year before you can begin to get that benefit. Okay, so if you've been working with a company for 6 months, maybe 5 months, and you get sick and you got to take some time off. Unfortunately, in that situation, you're just going to have to use vacation days, bite the bullet, and find a way to get by without any medical leave or benefit support. However, at the time I became really sick, not only had I been working for my company for about a year and a half, but I'd been working consistently with healthcare for about almost 3 years, not quite 3 years. So that qualification was no problem for me. I met that requirement, so it was all good. So that's the first thing for you to keep in mind, is that number one, medical benefits and medical leave for illness, injury, etc. are definitely available, but there is a minimal requirement on how long you've been working here. I hope you're enjoying the view. Normally I would like to talk to you and look at you, but since I'm driving, and the view is probably much nicer of the countryside, these back roads, than it is of looking at me. So so I hope you're enjoying this instead.
In 400 meters, turn left to stay on Guodao 486 Hao. Signs for Fuchu, Kui.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my...
Take the next left to stay on Guodao 486 Hao. Signs for Fuchu, Kui.
Yes, thank you. Got it. There's a golf course out here. Every time I see this big golf ball.
Continue on Guodao 486 Hao for 5 kilometers.
Yes, thank you. It makes me wonder how nice the golf course is, because I still haven't played on a golf course in Japan. I played at the driving range several times, but I still haven't played a course. If for some reason Wes is watching this, I really hope that you and I can play golf in Japan one day. That'd be awesome. But anyway, the first thing I'd like to do, like I was trying to say before, is that I would like to tell you a little bit about my experience in going through the process of getting the medical benefits and all of that. And that way, maybe if you're in a situation like that in the future, my grief can help you. You can remember my story, and you can use this as ammunition to fight for your rights and get things for yourself when you need it. Now, remember I told you basically in May of last year is when I completely just almost shut down and wanted to give up. I was at my worst in May of last year. And I was practically begging my company to help me in some way, but I had to push them the whole time. The whole way during my illness, I had to push them. I wouldn't say that they were bad, but they definitely weren't proactive in helping me out. And despite telling me that they were concerned about me, it became very evident that they were more concerned about whether or not I was going to be at the school, and if they were going to have to try to find somebody to replace me, and when I was going to come back. Those things are always more important. And it was easy to see that. It's a very fair assessment for me to say that they cared more about that than they did actually about my health. And the reason is because they were constantly asking me about those things. There was never a time where they just called me or sent me an email specifically to check on my health, and that's all. It was always call me to tell me that I had to pay them something, or I had to pay my insurance, or when did I think I was going to go back to work, or was I going to be at work the next day? Because there were times where I felt terrible, and they thought maybe I was just not going to be there. And they wanted to make sure that I was going to be at the school, so they were like reaching out to make sure that I would be there. And it was very clear to me that their priority was business, not people. And there are some people out there that say, well, it's a business, duh, of course. But you have to understand, number one, businesses are run by people. Number two, good businesses care about people. So if a business is just a business, if you're saying that a business is just a business, what you're really saying is that this is a business run by sociopaths who only care about profit and don't care about people. That's what you're saying to me, because I personally don't run things that way. I can't imagine being more concerned about my profit than I am about the damage that I'm doing to a person's life, especially, even more so, when it comes to a situation of life or death. I mean, seriously, life or death. I don't get it. I mean, think about how crazy it is if you are a manager and one of your workers tells you, hey, I've got a massive cancer tumor, and I'm not sure, I'm doing terribly right now. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to work. I'd really like to try to...
In 500 meters, continue straight to stay on Guodao 486 Hao.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Google. I'd really like to take some time off and try to recover. What can be done? And then you as a manager to say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you gonna miss?
Continue straight to stay on Guodao 486 Hao.
Are you gonna miss some work? You know, how much work are you gonna miss? When are you gonna be able to come back? And
continue on Guodao 486 Hao for 7 kilometers.
Making it obvious that it's more important to you to worry about your business and your profit than you are about the workers' well-being, okay? And I'm not talking about being offended, you know. Oh, you didn't use my pronouns. You offended me. That's not what I'm talking about. That's garbage. I'm talking about caring about somebody's life. Something that's actually important. It's just crazy. So, from May until December of last year is how long it took me to get things worked out so that I could go on medical leave. Can you believe that? So June, July, August, September, October, November, December. It took 7 months. 7 months for me to get worked out between my company and the insurance to go on medical leave, despite my doctor, you know, approving that and thinking it would be good for me. Why is that? Because, like I said, I had to push and drag my company along to get them to help me out. And I stayed and I worked as long as I could. I wanted to try to get through December, if not the end of the school year, but it was just becoming ridiculous for me to try to get through that. So, anyway, what you can take away from this is that, sadly, it's likely that you, if you were in this type of position, your company will not want you to take off, and they're not going to want you to know about your rights and your options. And now, whether they're telling the truth or not, when they tell you there's no benefits, there's no medical leave, there's no compensation for being off work, etc., etc., when they're telling you that, yes, it's possible that that particular supervisor or manager has no idea what they're talking about, and they're just speaking from a place of ignorance. But if they're speaking from ignorance, what they should be saying is, I'm not aware of that, but I will look into it for you, absolutely, and we'll see what we can do. Because that's the proper way to handle a situation. That shows not only a smart person, but also a caring person who's trying to do what they can to help the situation and to help you and show that you matter, people matter. But not only did they not not only did they tell me that it didn't exist, I had to kind of push them to help me figure it all out. And they kept saying, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. And I would dig around, get some information, and then send that information to them. And they would say, oh, I haven't seen this. I'll check with our department about this. So after all their dragging their feet and being pushed, finally I got them to agree to processing my paperwork. My doctor filled out a form for the medical leave. They sent that from the hospital to my company, and they sent it to the insurance because the insurance was going through my company, and then it was approved through there, and then I was able to finally start receiving benefits around 2 months after they were initially applied for. So I applied for them after a few days in December, and it took roughly a couple of months before I started receiving anything. That was a really difficult time for me because I moved from my apartment, I left my apartment, I still had some extra expenses I had to pay. I still had to pay pension for the next few months because I was technically still employed. I had to continue paying for my health insurance plus the premiums for the copay for all of my hospital visits, etc., etc. So a lot of my expenses and my bills continued, but as I was waiting for my salary to be reimbursed, it was difficult. It was a really difficult time for me. For those of you who've been watching my channel, you probably know a lot about that. So, and some of you even donated to, traffic's almost at a standstill. But anyway, some of you have donated through like my GoFundMe or my Patreon or other means of donation to help me out. A friend of mine in China, she set up she didn't set up the GoFundMe, but she pushed me to set up a GoFundMe, and some friends and family were able to donate through that over the past several months, and that's really helped me out. But if I hadn't gotten those donations during that time, I'd still be behind right now. I'd still be in massive debt with just basic bills. Just the most basic bills that you have, including electricity. Those things would just still be behind. So it was nice that I was able to get it. But anyway, I'm still currently on medical leave right now. However, the thing that's changed is that my residency is now student, because I just was approved a couple of weeks ago for my student application for Japanese language school, and that's where I'm on my way to right now in Onomichi, because I need to give them a copy of my new student ID, give them an updated copy of my passport, and discuss with them some details about the school, the classes, and etc., some other stuff.
In 400 meters, turn right onto Guodao 486 Hao, Guangdao Xian Dao 25 Hao. Signs for Mitsuhi, Mihara.
I really need to change that language. I have no idea why it's giving me Chinese, but it's a little confusing. Is this right? Oh, okay. No, I don't know why I was thinking about turning there. But...
Take the next right onto Guodao 486 Hao, Guangdao Xian Dao 25 Hao. Signs for Mitsugi, Mihara. Then turn right onto the Sanyo Expressway ramp.
Yes, I've got it. I understand. Wakarimasu. Wajidao. If you're gonna speak to me in Chinese, then I'm gonna speak to you in Chinese. 我知道你说什么这是什么 If any of you speak Chinese,
Turn right onto the Sanyo Expressway ramp.
turn on the expressway ramp. Whoops.
In 200 meters, turn right.
200 meters, turn right.
Take the next right.
Okay. This guy's coming way too fast. This is a very...
In 200 meters, turn right toward Guangdao Xiandao 25 Hao.
Okay. Yeah, so I wasn't listening properly, so I completely missed the directions, but it's okay. This is a nice little side drive. You can see the freeway up there. Give me just a moment, get through here. And once I get on the freeway, I think I'm going to have to take a toll for a little while. Tollway. And then... Wow.
Take the next right toward Guangdao Xiandao 25 Hao, then turn right onto Guangdao Xiandao 25 Hao.
Okay.
Take the next right onto Guangdao Xiandao 25 Hao, then turn left onto the Sanyo Expressway ramp.
Oh, okay, that's what I missed. Turn left. Okay, I can go after this car. I got one more car coming. Little car. Okay. All right. I hope you guys are enjoying the view. Okay, I think I have to turn left here.
Turn left onto the Sanyo Expressway ramp.
Yes, ma'am.
In 600 meters, keep left at the fork. Follow signs for Okayama.
Okayama. Follow the signs for Okayama. Okay, this is where I get my toll ticket. I do have an ETC card reader, but I don't have an ETC card right now, so unfortunately, I have to get a ticket. It's already waiting for me. Okay. Here we go.
Keep left at the fork.
Kita, Kyushu, and Hiroshima to the right.
In 600 meters, merge onto Kui Tian Shanko Xian, Shanyang Zidong Che Dao.
It doesn't help me that it's giving me the directions in Chinese. It really doesn't. Google is broken. It's hacked and broken. Anybody can... Yes. Okay, he was nice enough to get over. Let me in. That was nice. Alright.
Continue on Kui Tian Shanko Xian for 12 kilometers.
12 kilometers. I think I've got it. Okay, now up until this point, back to the health insurance and all of that kind of thing, I hope that this has given you some idea of some of the benefits that are available. So basically, if you're in a position where you feel like you should be able to take some extra time off and not lose pay, and your doctor feels the same way, your doctor feels that yes, you need some extended time off, whether it's a few weeks or whether it's a few months or longer, you can take up to about a year and a half, basically 18 months or so of medical leave if you need it. And I've been on leave since, as of this time, at the time of this video, I've been on leave since the beginning of December, and I've still got a ways to go with my health. I'm not going to lie. I made some little improvements in some ways, but there are still a couple of things that I don't want to call them worrisome because that's negative language, but there are a couple of things that have gotten worse, and just to avoid the grotesque nature of those things, I won't mention them here, but I will say that I'm at a point now where I personally am just going to have to completely and utterly stop eating. Whether you support fasting or not, it doesn't really matter, but I'm not into chemotherapy. It's killed people in my family and people that I'm not just in my family, but also in-laws and family of my friends. It's just not something that I'm gonna do. So I'm hoping that I can just focus on my focus hardcore on my fasting, and then reap some benefits from that. But we'll see. Anyway, as far as the health insurance, if you're not familiar with it, whenever you're in Japan, whether as a student or a worker, if you have residency here, you are obliged to be enrolled. It is compulsory for you to be enrolled in the health insurance program. Now, if you're a student, you will have the national health insurance. It's just essentially health insurance through the state, which is what I currently have. If you work for a company, it's possible that you'll have the national health insurance. But if the company has its own insurance, it's also possible you will have their insurance. I've had experience with both. And the very first company that I worked for in Hiroshima, it was a language school. And that's a very shady company. The way that they run their... Now, it's a big company that has many different businesses and brands and stuff. But the way they run their English language school is very shady. And essentially what they do is they limit the hours, they limit the breaks, they limit the pay. They do all sorts of crazy things to get around the law, to keep from paying all the money to their teachers and their staff that they should be paid. They do everything they can to nickel and dime their workers, and you wind up getting paid really terribly. But they also don't provide insurance. That's the other thing. Even though it's quote a full-time job, they still don't have to provide you health insurance. So you must apply for the national health insurance independently yourself, which is ridiculous. But anyway, the second company, which is the last company I worked for, they have their own insurance, which is fine. It cost a little more, but I didn't get paid maybe about $200 more per month or something like that than I got paid at the company before that. So you can see that there are a couple of different ways for you to get insurance, but even if you're a student, you still have to have insurance. Right now, I'm paying for only insurance. If you're working, you also have to pay for pension every month, but I'm on a pension exemption right now because I'm not working. So don't have to worry about that. However, like I said, if you're a student, or any type of resident, you're still required to pay health insurance. There's just no way around it. And the good thing is that the price fluctuates. What you pay for your health insurance, it fluctuates depending on your previous year's salary. That can be very difficult for those who go on medical leave, or those who aren't making money suddenly, because this year you're paying...
In 3 kilometers,
premiums.
take exit Onomichi interchange for Guodao 184 How toward Onomichi.
Okay, thank you. If you take some time off work and you aren't getting paid, you're still paying insurance, health insurance, and medical insurance at the same predetermined rate from as your salary was. It's based on your salary from last year. So even if your salary suddenly goes down to 0, or you're having to take a lot of time off and you don't have any money, you can't just go down to the government office and say, hey, I don't have any money right now, can you lower my health insurance? That's impossible. Now, they can work with you on trying to extend your payments. That's possible. But they absolutely will not lower your payments or lower the amount that you have to pay suddenly because your salary goes down. The good news is that if you can tough it out and make it through, the next year your health insurance is going to be based on this year's income. So you'll pay less next year. So I know it doesn't help right now, but the good thing is that you can get some relief next year. So I'm really looking forward to that, because I've been having to pay a higher amount for my health insurance despite not having any work for a while, despite being on medical leave and only getting a percentage of my salary. I'm still paying the...
In 600 meters, take exit Onomichi interchange for Guodao 184 How toward Onomichi.
Yes, I've got it, thank you. So, despite my salary not being a full salary, I'm still paying the health insurance based on that full salary. So there you go. Anyway, okay.
Take exit Onomichi interchange.
Yes, you've told me twice already. I don't need a third time. Thank you, though. Thank you, Google.
Continue for 1.5 kilometers.
Continue for 1.5 kilometers. I was about to say, those are the two main things that I wanted to present to you today. One is just the basic information about medical insurance and health insurance in Japan, and that it's required and available. I would say for the most part it's affordable. Whenever I go to the hospital, the co-pays have always been affordable, even though the money that I'm making from my medical benefit is not high. It's pretty low. It's not what I would call easy to pay my bills, but I can't imagine having to pay the full price that I would have to pay in the US, or the high copay price that I would have to pay in the US. That would be crazy. Let's see here. I'm going to turn this around so you can see what I'm doing here. This is my ticket. Wow, Google was actually kind of right. This Google said it's going to cost me about 520 yen, and it's actually 510 yen. So surprisingly accurate. Usually Google says, oh, it's only 500 to take this toll, and then I take it and it turns out to be 2,500. That's pretty crazy. But I've got 510 right here. No, thank you. Okay, let's turn this around just for a few minutes. How about that? Okay. Thank you guys for...
In 400 meters, turn left at Jiao Cha Dian onto Guodao 184 Hao.
Telling me in Chinese doesn't help me. But I'm pretty sure that I just have to turn right up here. Like I was trying to say, thank you guys for joining me live stream, and for those of you who are watching later on and
turn left at Jiao Cha Dian onto Guodao 184 Hao.
Did it say turn left? I thought I was supposed to turn right, but I guess I need to turn left. It seems like every time I try to gather my thoughts and start talking, Google starts running its mouth, and it's even more confusing that it's talking in Chinese, because obviously there are no Chinese signs here. I've got Japanese and Romaji, but no Chinese. So
continue on Guodao 184 Hao for 4 kilometers.
Okay, I'm going the right way. Excellent. We'll stay like this just for a couple of moments, and I'll turn it around so you can kind of see the rest of the way here. But anyway, like I was saying, thank you very much for joining me for the live stream. Right now, if something else pops in my mind, I'll share it. But I don't have my glasses on, so... And my glasses are for reading only, just seeing stuff up really, really close. So they're not for driving or, you know, doing things in everyday life. It's just for reading. So I can't see how many people might have been in the chat, or what questions might have been posted, if any, or whatever. I have no idea how many people are actually in the chat. But in just a moment, I'm gonna pull over maybe to a Kombini just to take a quick look. If you guys have any questions, or if you want to ask a question, go ahead and do that, because I'm gonna take a quick look at all of those, and then what I'll try to do is address those questions during this live stream, and after that I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap the video up, because I should be arriving before too much longer at the language school in Onomichi, because technically I'm in Onomichi right now. I'm on the outskirts, but I've still got a little ways to go. So we still got time to hang out together, if that's cool with you. On a related note, there is one thing that I can tell you that you might not know. And that is that in Japan, they also have, as part of your insurance, okay, as part of your national health insurance, or let's just call it national insurance, okay, because I think calling it health insurance is a little confusing, because it actually encompasses some other things, and I'm about to tell you why. The national insurance, or the company insurance, benefit insurance, or whatever, it also covers unemployment, okay? So just for example, let's say that for whatever reason, you're between jobs. You're a foreigner and you're working here, and you've been working for your company, let's say a year and a half, 2 years, whatever, it doesn't matter. But something happens, and either you just can't take it anymore and you have to quit. The circumstances are really bad, you have to quit, and it's not because of health, or it's just for other reasons. Or maybe there's an emergency back in your country, your hometown. You got to go back there for a little while, and then what happens is you lose your job. You can't keep your job. You know you're going to have to get another job. So regardless of what happens or why it happens, you have to quit your current job, and you're looking for another job, okay? And of course, just because you have a visa, now I will say this, in Japan, if you already have a working visa, if you already have residency here, it is a lot easier to get a job. I mean, your ability to get a job goes way up if you already have residency. If you don't have residency, for some reason, they are super picky, at least in certain types of industries, certain types of jobs and organizations, businesses, etc. Certain types of jobs, they just are very, very, very picky about hiring people, fresh people who don't have residency. So keep that in mind. However, if you already have a job, you have your residency and all that kind of stuff, and you want to switch to another company or you want to go find another job, it's not as hard to do, not nearly as hard to do. However, if for some reason you find yourself in a position where you're going to be off of work for an extended period of time, like 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever, and that can really hurt. And for some people, it can be basically impossible, because how can you get by on such a crappy pay? A job like teacher, English teacher, is such a low-paying job, and if that's your only and primary source of income, and you're not married, you don't have any supplemental income coming in, then that's really going to hurt. And even if you are married, what if you have kids? That's really going to put a big cramp in your family and put a lot of stress on you. The good news is that part of the insurance that they have here enables you to file for unemployment, and you can get a large portion, a majority portion of your salary paid to you as unemployment while you're looking for a job, and you can get that every month. Now, every month you have to go show the it's Hello Work is the the organization that handles this end of the work-related stuff. So basically, you go file all the paperwork at Hello Work. They can tell you, if you don't know what all you need to provide, you go to Hello Work. They'll tell you everything that you need to bring in so that they can apply for the unemployment. And then after that, you'll have to go in each month and show them that you've been applying for work, and then that you still don't have a job, and then they'll approve you again to receive unemployment benefits. And like I said, they will tell you specifically what you have to bring in to approve that. I've never had to do that, but I know about it. So I just can't tell you the very specific documents that you need to take because I've never had to do it. However, I do know that they can tell you specifically what you need to bring in order to apply for unemployment benefits. So just keep that in mind. If you're worried about, I'm worried about going to Japan and, getting fired and or getting sick and not being able to get taken care of this and that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think in general, those things have been moderately, I would say above average. They've been taken care of in Japan by the government in an above average way. They've made provisions. It's not perfect, and I think it definitely could be far better than it is. That's for sure. Because it just sucks.
In 400 meters, your destination will be on the left.
Oh, I'm really close. I'm almost at my location already. What I'm gonna do is pull over at a convenience store, Kominka, in just a couple of moments before I get to my school, because I don't want to sit in the parking lot at the school. It's like right in front of the office. It'll look kind of funny for me to just pull in. Yep,
your destination is on the left.
Yes, I see it, but I'm not going to pull in there. Well, the person in front of me just ran a red light. That was very blatant. It almost made me run the red light because I was kind of following along behind them, and they just were cruising on through. And then I was like, wait a second, that light's red. You can't go through that. My school is literally right back there. I just passed it, but there's not a convenience store around here, so I'm going to pull into the post office right over here. We can finish and wrap this up. I'll check out your questions, and then I'll hop over to my school. Turn this around so you can kind of see. This is Shin Onomichi Station that you see right ahead there, right there. This is that building right there. That's the railway. And I am just gonna pull right around here. There should be a post office right down the road. that guy. Yeah, he got scared. He was coming out. There it is. Oh, that parking is a lot smaller than I remember. Give me just a moment. This road seems to be kind of busy. And these parking lots and parking spots are super, super small. Whoops. And they come around that corner way too fast. Okay, there we go. There's one parking spot here at the post office. The post office, literally, this one is so small, it only has 3 parking spots. So I'm not going to be here for very long. Just long enough to finish this video. Let's turn this around. There we go. Okay. Now I can put my glasses on. Let's see what we got here. I think we should have some comments, right? Okay. Well, okay. The Internationalist. It looks like you got a lot of questions here. I'll get to those real quick. Are you planning to live in Japan forever? Yeah, actually, it's my plan to be permanently in Japan as my main home. There, of course, I love to travel. I've been to about 15 countries, and I have plans to not only go and travel and see other countries, but actually I want to go and make some films and stuff in the future in other countries and spend some time to really absorb the culture in certain other areas of the world. However, to me, Japan is my base, my home base for the rest of my life. So absolutely, yes. And your next question was, I'm married to a Japanese, but we live in California. She's okay here, but I prefer Japan. Can I get a residency card in Japan? Well, yeah, well, you can. Now, here's the thing, though. If you're married to a Japanese person and that person has changed their citizenship to your country, then they no longer have Japanese citizenship, and they become subject to complicated laws of having to get residency again. But the short answer is, if your Japanese spouse still has citizenship in Japan, then yes, absolutely. Because you're the spouse of a Japanese citizen, then you can get a spouse visa. And the cool thing about the spouse visa is that it enables you to do any work or business that you want in Japan. There are no restrictions. If you come here as an independent person on a work visa, you can only specifically work in those areas that are on that visa. So I don't know what you know about work visas in other countries, but the way it works from my experience, even in China, it's the same way. But in Japan specifically, if you want to teach English, there are a few different types of visa for that. There's like a professor visa, there's an instructor visa, and there's a humanities/engineering visa. And these all can be used to teach English, but only in specific areas. So if you want to teach in an Akiya, which is an English language school, then you have to have the humanities/engineering visa. If you want to teach in the school system, like primary school, elementary school, junior high school, high school, all of those, then you're going to need the instructor visa, which is what I had before. Of course, I've had the humanities, engineering, and instructor visa. But if you want to teach at the university, then you need the professor type visa. And I haven't had that one because I haven't taught at a university. So the cool thing is, like I said, if you're married to a Japanese citizen, you can get a spouse visa. And that spouse visa will enable you to work any job you want. You can work at a convenience store if you want to, or you can work at a tech company, or you can work as a teacher. As long as you qualify for the job and they want to hire you, you can work there. But if your spouse for some reason changed her or his citizenship to American and they want to move back to Japan, well, that becomes a little more complicated because they're no longer a citizen. So you're going to have to either get a job here and get residency that way, or they're going to have to try to change their citizenship back. And I don't know how easy that process is. I'm not Japanese, and so I don't know what the laws are in Japan about, oh, I left Japan, I became a citizen somewhere else, I lost my Japanese citizenship, and now I want to change it back. You're going to have to look up. I don't know what your situation is. Can I live in Japan with $4,000 a month? Oh man, absolutely. Absolutely you can. Even a couple can live on $4,000 a month. If you're making the equivalent of $4,000 a month in Japan in yen, then it's above average. Because just for example, just for reference, okay, 4,000 US dollars per month is more than twice what an English teacher gets paid full time in Japan. Okay? Think about that. Right now, the advertisements that you'll see for English, come teach English in Japan, starting salary between 2.4 million and 3 million yen per year. Well, how much is 3 million yen? Well, think about this. The 1 million yen is basically, let's say it's about $8,000 or so. It's about $8,000. So $24,000 a year is the high end of what English teachers get paid. $24,000 a year. That's $2,000 a month. So what you just said is twice that. So you can definitely live on $4,000 a month. If I can get by and teachers can get by on that really crappy salary of $2,000 a month, you can definitely get by on $4,000. And the cool thing is, if you're making $4,000, you have a spouse who's working. Even if she only makes $2,000, that's $6,000. That's really, really good compared to most people in Japan. But of course, if you're going to live right in a city like Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo, even in the middle of a city like Hiroshima, it's going to be a little expensive for your apartment and things like that. So just think about that. Japan can be expensive, but it's also just as expensive as you make it. However, I would be very happy to have a base of $4,000 right now, because I don't get anywhere near that. Let's see here. Next question is, do you use U.S. credit cards in Japan or Japan credit cards? First of all, the only credit card I have is a joint credit card that I have with a friend of mine in America. So it is an American credit card, and it's only for occasional small business type purchases. So if I want to go buy a box of anime figures to ship to him and let him sell on eBay or Mercari or something, I can use that credit card to buy those and send them over, but I rarely use that card. I do have my U.S. bank card that is a Visa debit card, and I use that sometimes. And here in Japan, I have a JCB debit card. It comes right out of my bank account. But I don't actually have any Japanese credit cards, and I don't have any American credit cards that are just mine in my name. If you want a credit card in Japan as a foreigner, it's pretty difficult to get. And I'm not talking about these special low limit foreigner friendly cards. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like a genuine credit card from a bank like Mizuho or whatever, where you go and apply at the bank and you get a credit card, a fully fledged Japanese credit card that you can use here and there, whatever, and blah blah blah. These are harder to get. If you're making good money, I would suspect that if you have a good job here and you're making $4,000 a month, then it would be much easier. If you're married to a Japanese person, even easier to get loans and credit cards and things like that. So it's a benefit for you to be trying to get, if you're trying to get credit or loans or house loan, personal loan, car loan, etc., to have a Japanese spouse, especially somebody in good standing, it's a big bonus to help you out. In my situation right now, I'm not yet married to a Japanese person, so I don't have these luxuries. It becomes easier once you're married to a citizen. Let's see here. Are you driving with an international driver license or Japanese license? Okay, well, that's a good question. An international driver's license that you get is something that you get many months before, or a few months before you leave your country to come to Japan. It's not something I could use because I've been living in Japan for over 3 years. I mean, total I've lived in Japan about 4 years, but this time I've been living here for about 3.5 years, and the international license can't help me. I own this van. This is mine. It's not a rental. And in my pocket, I have my Japanese driver's license. Um, I needed it because I moved out to the country. If you live in the city, you might not need a vehicle. I didn't need a vehicle for a long time. It wasn't until I bought my house in the countryside that I needed to get a vehicle. And now I have it. I wouldn't be able to commute to the school if I didn't have it, because I need a car to get there. There's no train from there to here, and the only choice would be to hike 45 minutes to the nearest bus station or bus stop and take the bus to one town, and then from that town to here. It would be completely ridiculous to do that. So I have a regular driver's license, and you can get it. It's the testing can be a little silly, but if you prepare, you're familiar with the course, and you practice a little bit, you can do it. I got mine on my second try. So according to what I've seen, compared to other foreigners, that's really fast. Some people take the test like 9 times and fail. And every time you take the test, you have to pay. So it's like 3,000 yen every single time you take the test. Take the test 9 times. That's expensive, and that's a scam in my opinion. Okay. Alright, glad I found your channel. Take care in Japan. Hope to see you someday in Japan. Hey, internationalists, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for the questions. I'm glad that I could get to them before I go into the language center here, or over there, rather. And for you or anybody else that have any other questions about the medical stuff or any other related questions like the ones you asked, those are fine too. Like I always say, and I said at the beginning of the video, if I don't have the answer, I'll do my best to either point you in the right direction or get an answer for you and get it posted. You can either comment or tag me or whatever, and I will get back to those and answer those as quick as I can. International says, thank you, sir. No problem. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you in Japan. People are welcome to come visit me at the Vira. My house is on the map. It's a registered business on Google Maps. It's very easy to find. Anybody who's interested in stopping by and seeing it, or just meeting up, or chatting or whatever, just feel free to reach out. You can comment on my videos. You can email me. If you go to my About page on YouTube, you can see my email address. I will be having a giveaway very, very soon. Since I'm over 1,000 subscribers, I'm still waiting to get monetized because for some reason, when my subscribers were down, my watch hours were going up, and then whenever my subscribers went up, my watch hours went down. So I'm still under 4,000 watch hours. YouTube is playing around with me and dicking me around. So as soon as that finishes, as soon as that monetization happens, to celebrate, I'm going to do a giveaway and take some things from the house, put them together in like a package, and do a giveaway. And whoever wins that, I will ship it directly from Japan to you. I hope that you can catch that video and take part in the giveaway, because I'm coming up with something unique to do. So it's kind of a challenge contest, and the first person to meet that challenge and finish it successfully will win the prize. And after I get your info, I will not email. I will mail from Japan Post in Toyosakacho, right down the road from my house, directly to you, your prize. So I do appreciate once again you joining me on this rainy drive. Hope it's been educational. Look forward to your questions, comments, and all of that good stuff. Yes, and just like you said, internationalists, I do hope we can meet for lunch or dinner someday. I'm always open to meeting new people, and if I can help, or if I have helped in any way, then I'm glad to do that. for now, that's it. As always, I'd like to say arigatou gozaimasu, thank you, and じゃあね. Bye bye.